Project at hand right now is fixing the sliding door. So up here, it's missing a little plastic piece, so then it's all loose. And then it's grinding metal on metal up here. And it also just sounds terrible. So we bought some parts and we'll give it a shot. Be careful that you don't slip off of these. I was lucky that they weren't super rusty, but if yours are super rusty, you'll need an impact driver. There we are. Make sure you support the door when you remove this last one. With the door loose, now we can completely remove it and put it on the ground. I'm just putting on this old door card here. Now we can remove the bottom slider, and you can kind of see what we have here. Whoops. It's super dirty in here from the door, so we're just gonna give it a quick cleaning. Even just spraying it makes a huge difference. This is all rusty, but it's not too bad, but I'm gonna take some sandpaper, sand all the rust off, and then I'm just gonna hit it with some basic paint. Not trying to do a restoration here, but just trying to clean this up and to keep it from rusting in the future. Here we cleaned everything out really nicely. And also a little bit of rust there, and we're gonna do the same thing and just sand that rust off. So I've been in denial, but the proper way to fix this and fix this rust around this seam is really gonna be with sandblasting. Sandblasting is just absolutely terrible. Stuff gets everywhere. But darn, it doesn't work well. I've got it all taped up, and here you can see we're gonna go for this rust, a little bit of this seam, just continue all the way down. Sandblasting is just very sandy. The seam came out pretty well. There's still a little bit of seam sealer stuck in there, but did a good job. This is also really clean. Let's paint it. This footstep and rail are also going to get some love. For this, I'm just using some of this 3M seam sealer. I've used it before and it works pretty well. I wipe my finger in mineral spirits and that can help smooth this out. I've got gray on gray here, which makes it really easy to see, of course, but you can see, it looks pretty good. I'm certainly not a seam sealer expert, but I bet it's gonna hold it nice and dry. If you look closely, you can see all these little rough areas. And that's because that's where the primer, if you don't spray it really thick, somehow it does that. So we're gonna sand all that down. Especially right here on this channel, where the roller is, I don't wanna have a bunch of rough paint there. That'll just make the paint chip off right away. For this, when I won't see it, I bought this paint from the store, and it's almond color. Let's see how well this matches. That looks pretty good already. Here for the final shot, it turned out pretty all right. There's a little bit of a tape line there, which that was expected. Here started the seam repair, and that actually turned out pretty good. If you look down here, a little bit more rust there that I eventually need to get to. Really, a lot of these seams just need to be redone. But this area is looking really nice. Paint is nice and thick. Then down here, it's also looking really nice. Now for the final question, is it a match? Well, you can kind of tell yourself there, it's not quite a match, but darn it, it's close enough. You can't even see this area when everything's closed up, so this is definitely good enough for what it needs to be until this thing eventually gets repainted. So the outer door handle is super loose, and this is the screw where it mounts. You can see it just wiggling around in there. So I'm gonna take all of this door stuff apart, and I'm gonna grease and clean everything, make sure that's in proper working order. I always like to do things the right way, so if I already have it taken apart this far, might as well just finish the job, make it all new, basically kind of give this door a quick overhaul here. So let's get started. People always strip out Phillips heads. If you just take one of these wrenches and then put a little Phillips head adapter on it, it works so well. Then you won't strip out many bolts. That all still looks super nice in there. Just wiggle it out here. Now that the locking mechanism is out, we can give it a real nice cleaning. Here we have the mechanism removed. You can see this one's actually still in really good shape, but there's definitely some dirt and grime that built up on this grease, so we're gonna clean that out. And this one, the same thing. Just give this a nice good cleaning, and then we'll go from there. To clean all this, I really don't use any fancy chemicals. I just use some dish soap and just a toothbrush and some really warm water. Sometimes the ultrasonic cleaner does a really good job too. That looks really darn good, almost like new. Let's give the other side a shot. I'm also giving this door a quick cleaning. So VW sprayed all this wax stuff inside and in all the cavities, which is really good. That's really what helps prevent a lot of these vehicles from rusting as bad as they could be. But all this wax on the outside really just kind of looks ugly, and we don't really need it on the outside of the paint. So I'm just taking some mineral spirits and we're gonna get rid of it. These are the little details that you don't really see right away, but you just notice them on a really clean car. Everything's clean, and this is how you make everything clean. So these door locks obviously came out looking super clean, and when they came from the factory, they had a bunch of really chunky grease in there, and it was really liberally applied. So I want to grease it again, but I don't want to grease it with something that just collects a bunch of dirt, kind of like that grease. So what I kind of have settled on is some of this chain wax. So this stuff is obviously chain wax designed for motorcycles, and it's supposed to, when it dries, it's not supposed to fling off when you're driving. So I decided to run a little experiment here, so I sprayed it on this wrench, and it definitely makes the wrench slide better. It stays in place, and it's not too sticky. It's still a little sticky, but it's been drying now for about, I don't know, a couple days. So as it continues to dry, it'll get less sticky. So I think this is actually going to be my ticket for how I'm going to lubricate this. So it goes on kind of yellowish, and then you can work everything so that it goes in all the places where it needs to, and then it'll hold. So let's give this a shot with some good old lubrication. All right, that side ought to be good. Now we'll do the other one. And now we got the cap in place, so there we go. We have now successfully replaced this bottom roller. I'm gonna use the same chain wax to grease all these different areas where the rollers are riding. sliding beautifully. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Now we've got the door cleaned and working nicely, we've got to pull the engine, clean the underside, and get some stuff painted. We've got a lot of work coming up. Stay tuned.